Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Kodiak here. Welcome back to Legacy Gaming. Different kind of video for you today because it is not scripted. I don't like doing unscripted videos, but I am putting some pressure on myself to do this because one of the things I realized over the last 3 or 4 years, however long we've been doing this, is that I want to make more of a connection with you guys. I want to have a conversation about games, and that's really hard to do sometimes when you script every single word, every single phrase of a video that we put out. So this is a conversation about the State of Helldivers 2, and I've been playing as much as I can for the last 2 weeks since launch day. I didn't have early access to this because they didn't do that. We got a launch day code. I jumped in just like everybody else, and over the last 2 weeks have seen this game absolutely blossom, even through all of the trials and tribulations that it's been facing. And we're going to talk about that. So first things first, this has been a wild year for games. 2023 was pretty consistent. You knew what the big games were going to be. You knew that they were going to be popular. I'm thinking Hogwarts Legacy, Baldur's Gate 3, what else? Starfield, those types of games. 2024 is way different. Like, you start the year with Palworld, which, yes, we didn't like it, but a ton of people did, and that's totally cool. Then you have games like Helldivers 2, which day over day has had higher concurrent player counts since its launch, with all of the problems that we're going to talk about. It is wild. And for the most part, you can't predict these things. Nobody predicted Palworld was going to be a 2 million concurrent player game. I don't think anybody predicted that Helldivers 2 was going to have 400,000 concurrent players on PC alone. It's just kind of crazy. So the GM of the studio, Arrowhead Games, has said that they have surpassed at this point 500k concurrent players across both PC and PS5. And I believe they're getting ready to increase the server cap to at least 450k, if not higher. Right now, people are still sitting in queues, and that has been the single biggest problem. But through all of that, people are still coming to play, right? So every night when you log in, for the most part, you've been met with a queue, and that queue can last from 5 minutes to, I think I sat in one for like 3 hours, and it's not great. It's not great, but you would think that people would start abandoning the game, even after like 1 day of that. But the fact that people are still here day over day, higher concurrent player count than the day before, is pretty nuts. And I think it speaks to the quality of Helldivers 2, which, if you're coming over from Helldivers, you realize that it is the exact same game, just in third person. And I think that goes to show that they had a great concept with Helldivers, but never peaked. I think their concurrent player count was like 6.5 or 7k. It was nothing. So you go from a studio that put out an okay game with 7,000 concurrent players to a game that is amassing over 1 million players and 400, 500,000 concurrent players on a daily basis. That is wild. So a lot of people in, Reddit and on Twitter and whatever have been saying that just buy more servers. Why not just buy more servers? It's black and white. And the GM of the company have said that's not the issue. The issue is manpower. The issue is physical labor resources that they are working day in and day out to make sure this game stays live and stable. And what do you expect? Because it's a smaller studio. I think they have less than 100 employees. And again, you had that kind of viral overnight success, and you're like, well, what are you supposed to do? But it's compounded by the fact that there are a lot of player-driven issues that are starting to kind of get to me, as a player that is trying to play this game, enjoy this game, but realizing that something like AFKing while logged in prevents a huge swath of players from even playing the game. There's no AFK timeout at this point, so you can stay in the game indefinitely, rack up hundreds of fake hours in the game, and then players can actually join your game, skipping the queue straight from their, Steam menu or their PlayStation 5 online portal, whatever the heck it's called, which is kind of wild. So you have server issues, capacity issues on the developer side, and then you have these player-driven issues that are just kind of compounding that problem. And still, again, through all of that, you got 400, 500,000 concurrent players. On one hand, everything feels like it's falling apart. It doesn't feel like it's a great launch. And then on the other hand, you're like, well, I don't really care. This game is amazing. This game is great. And that is a very strange phenomena. I can't think of another game in recent memory that had that level of goodwill from the community, that goodwill, unfortunately, will not last. And if you spend like 5 minutes in the Helldivers 2 Discord, you will see that it is pretty much a cesspool of people complaining about the game, complaining about the devs. You know, it's not a pretty sight. And I get that to a point, but well before the, you know, people becoming ignorant, making threats, telling the devs they suck, because they made a great game. They just don't have the infrastructure to support it yet. Now, that has bubbled into gameplay issues, and that is not great either, right? Quick play was not working up until today, February 20th, 2024. SOS beacons, still not sure they're working. And then you had the huge issue of rewards not paying out. That was probably, in my opinion, the biggest week 1, week 2 issue, because players were playing the game, but things weren't registering. They had missions that were just not giving them any XP or requisition points. And then to further compound that, they had an idea to promote an XP bonus over the weekend, which further broke the servers. Not great, right? Not good. The state of the game in that mindset is not good. But even still, 400, 500, they've probably passed 600,000 concurrent players on PC and PlayStation 5 at this point, which is wild. I think what's been the most interesting experience to be on the sidelines and witness is the goodwill of players who love this game, want to support this game, and on the back end, things are just kind of crumbling. Servers not working, gameplay features not working. It's pretty wild. But at least from where I sit, I am looking down the road. A month from now, 2 months from now, maybe it won't have 400,000 concurrent players, but it is going to have a much healthier gameplay base, a much healthier community base than the first game, right? Like I said, 7,000 concurrent players, I think, is what it peaked at. We are looking at a much healthier community. Where can they take Helldivers 2? Anywhere they want. That's the coolest thing about this game, is that they can take it in so many different directions. Easy things, expanding enemy factions, either the automatons, the Terminids, or making something completely different. You know, we know about the Illuminate. That's a new faction that could be coming to the game. Of course, they're going to add more weapons. Of course, they're going to add more armor, more stratagems. We know that mech suits are on the way. How could they not be after the teaser trailer and then Helldivers 1, right? If you played Helldivers, you know that the mechs were the best part about that game. Then you've got some of those other supporting elements, like the ship. What can they do more with the ship to make the gameplay even more exciting? I think there's a lot they could do there. And then you've got the social elements. What can they do from a social perspective to make the way we play as a squad, or the way that the global community across like the global war interact? How do they make that more engaging? I think there's a lot of opportunity there. You've also got things like customization, right? We all kind of want to dye our armor because right now you're using a chest piece because it's got a bonus, but a helmet because you like the way it looks, they don't match. You need to be able to dye armor. That's low-hanging fruit, right? That's such easy stuff to deal with. There's just an endless amount of possibilities for this game because they took their great idea from Helldivers and just said, you know what, we're going to put this in third person. We're going to make it look visually really cool. We're going to create some cool enemies, and we're going to give you guys a solid experience, from the gunplay to the stratagems to the difficulty. All of those things, pretty rock solid. So one of the weirdest conversations that I've seen online about this game has been about pay to win. And that has been one of the weirdest things, because pay to win in my mind is buying something in a store with real money that I can't get by playing in the game, that also aids me in the gameplay in some way, shape, or form. I am very confused about this argument because super credits, the premium currency in the game, are really easy to get. You can get them by playing missions if you do all of those minor points of interest. If you do the radio towers and you identify all of them, awesome, that makes it that much easier. But even still, get onto a high elevation, look around the map, and you'll see that there are those beacons everywhere. And good chance you're going to find at least some super credits just by doing those side objectives. Then you can, of course, buy the super credits from the normal stores, right? The main requisition shop stores, get some premium currency there. And then you've got a nice base that you can spend on cosmetics. I don't understand the argument here because nothing in that premium currency store impacts gameplay in any way, shape, or form. All of the armor set bonuses are set bonuses you can find on other pieces of gear. So it's truly a weird conversation. And the thing that I love that Helldivers 2 is doing, which is I believe the same thing that the Halo Infinite did, is that the battle passes never expire. So that FOMO element that is pervasive in some different live service games is not even a factor here, because you can take all the time you need to finish those passes, get all of the gear, get all of the cosmetics, because they're not going anywhere. I don't know why more companies haven't done that over the past, 2-3 years since that's been a thing, because it just makes a lot of sense. Why put all the hard work into designing something, creating something, making it limited time, and then having it disappear? People are still going to be interested in your cool thing, whether it's 2 years from now or in the moment, in the 2 weeks that it's available. It just never really made any sense to me. I believe that the Steam reviews for Helldivers 2 have dipped back to mixed. So the game started off with a pretty negative perception of it because it had a lot of initial day 1, day 2 issues. Those things kind of got smoothed out. People saw how cool the game was. Positive reviews started flowing in. And now we're going backwards. Now we're going back to, okay, well, shit has not worked for 2 weeks. Why did we pay $40? What I like about what the GM of Arrowhead Games is saying is, hey, you don't have to buy the game, return the game. I don't care. We will fix all these things and this awesome game will still be here. And I really appreciate that, because honestly, you think about what just happened with like Skull and Bones and their CEO saying, oh, it's a quadruple A game, just clearly lying to all of us as players, right? The Arrowhead Games CEO is not saying that. He's just saying, hey, yeah, the game's busted. We're doing what we can. We're out of resources. We will fix it when we can. Hopefully it's soon. Go play something else. This game's not going anywhere. You're not missing anything. All of the features that are here are going to be here when you come back. So I think there's something there to be, I admire at least. My question at the end of all of this is, where the hell has Sony been? Sony is the publisher of Helldivers 2, and quite honestly, I am confused why they're not pouring every single resource they have into the company. And to be clear, they could be, and I don't know that. This has the potential to be a huge new franchise for Sony. Sony could even buy Arrowhead Games, probably for relatively cheap by Sony standards, and now they have the Helldivers franchise that they could build an entire new line of games off of. I don't think the Arrowhead guys would go for that. Maybe they would. Maybe if they threw Sony money at them, they would. But you already have a publisher that's got your back with huge amounts of resources. Why are they not supporting the Helldivers 2 team as they're trying to figure out all these infrastructure things? Give them everything. Give them every resource. Give them every person that they need. Fly people in, whatever they need to do, because this is a huge win for Sony, for PS5 and PC players, and especially when all this nonsense about Microsoft, Sony, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever is going on, it seems like the right time for Sony to lean into something that is doing well and throwing their weight behind it. I think at the end of the day, when you look at Helldivers 2, it's an amazing game. It is so much fun to play, made better if you have a couple friends to play with. It's, when it works, easy to jump in and out of players' games. The difficulty curve is challenging and rewarding when you experience it, right? If you've done a mission at difficulty 7, 8, or 9, it is hella fun when you get up to that difficulty level with a good crew. And then there's just so much potential, as we talked about. There's so much this game could be, and there's so many places this game could go if they get through this and if they have a really clear roadmap for the future. Obviously, they're not going to be able to talk about where they want to go when they are in the moment right now and not able to fix their game, right? So, that's day 2, that's day 3, with a little understanding that we're on week 2, we're on week 3. So it does feel like the flash to bang is not great, but I think a lot of folks have already shown that they are invested in this. Like the community, at least the community vibes around the game are good, even if the game itself is slightly broken. So I guess to wrap this up, what is the State of Helldivers 2? It's okay. It's not on life support by any means. It's a fantastic game, but it is fragile. I think, again, that goodwill that the community has shown throughout these first 2 weeks is pretty remarkable. I don't know any other game that would have this much leeway. Just look at a game like Suicide Squad. that was condemned from the moment it came out. This game, however, dropped. People are discovering it. They're loving it. And now, 2-3 weeks in, they're like, okay, well, I can't play this with my buddies. Why am I wasting every night in a queue? That goodwill is going to flip. I think that's kind of where I want to leave it. I am super uncomfortable doing a video like this because I like having my prompter with my words and my script. So if you guys like this kind of content, if you want more of videos like this where I'm just talking to you, talking about games that we're playing, let me know in the comments section. Let me know how I can make this better, even with a little structure. Anything that you guys want to send my way in terms of constructive criticism, I am open to, because I'm just excited to talk about games a little bit more in a less formal setting. So thanks for checking out the video. Thanks for following Legacy Gaming. As always, my name is Kodiak, and from everyone here on the team, thanks for watching. Play on.